record 23 victories, including 15 knockouts, 8 defeats. Salido! 33 knockouts with only 2 defeats and 1 draw. Juan Manuel Marquez!
Listos, vámonos. Vamos.
Just a final word about in an interview. We opted not to do the interview because
now round 1 begins, and Marquez is the kind of fighter, Manny, who can lead if necessary, but he was
much more aggressive than this. Is fighting a very technical fight at the beginning of the fight here.
as much as Marquez almost did in the first.
That was a miscalculation of either strength or speed. Marquez had it. Hard right hand by Sons to try to counter over Marquez's jab.
And both of these guys' accuracy.
Salido feinted and then stood there. Barely tapped Marquez with it.
Marquez.
But Salido was able to get his right elbow down and block it. Now he leads with the right. Tactical first round, more contact.
After watching a fight that lasted 33 seconds, they didn't.
Pretty difficult for either one of them to be effective with body punching. I think is the next round or two progress.
Salido feinting forward, and Marquez taking advantage of the opportunity. Again. Now 33 seconds into the first round when Jantua landed a left hook on the jaw. Kofi Jantua, with knockouts in 9 of his last 10 bouts, came in to face.
And almost all of the big fights involving Mexican fighters now.
Let's see, I believe Barrera and Morales fought once at 122 and once at 126. And Juan Manuel Marquez so far picking his way, put a little bit more of his own imprint on the fight.
Yeah, Marquez is going to step it up regardless.
The world, right, guys? As more and more fighters from foreign countries, and while Mexican fans may find it odd to watch first time in the fight, and that's a mark in and of itself that they're getting close.
Before they're going to end up going into some slugfest situations.
Could mimic what Pacquiao did.
Pacquiao was hitting him with straight left hands continually. And after that first round,
Pacquiao has a repeating motion. Jab, jab, left hand. Jab, jab. To do exactly what Pacquiao was able to do to Marquez. Of his is going to wander wider and wider and wider in its arc. And I'm going to get a chance to let...
Story of De La Hoya's hand and the stitches.
Well, the late rush of De La Hoya enthusiasm has even...
At 3-0, 30-27, Juan Manuel Marquez. Jim had a very slow fight, very little activity. Juan Manuel Marquez, 3-0.
Would you have expected Salido?
Boxing gym in Los Angeles, where I'm right now presently training a lot of my...
Has a big and glorious image, so maybe it was...
Maybe 3 or 4 fights in our career sometimes.
It's interesting that Salido thinks he's about ready to hurt Salido with the right hand.
Well, both guys better be careful each other's right. Where you can almost see him because he takes a really big step usually when he comes in and throws his right hand.
But do it faster and do it more is the advice.
CompuBox numbers through 4. Marquez 45 of 170 off.
That's correct, and especially for some guys who are small like these guys. I've seen him throwing a lot aggressive fight, and I think his last fight that he won, which earned this fight, was a
pace. Logic tells you you're playing into the hands of Marquez when you do it.
You can maybe take him out of his stream, but right now the way that he's fighting,
long bouts of sizing each other up, feinting. The right hand over the top. Marquez saw it a mile away. Marquez catches.
But when Salido does open up, I've been impressed with him. He's a very good fighter. It just needs...
For Marquez.
I think it's the occasion he may have felt some of Marquez's start.
Well, his trainer told him that he'd won the last round, but I was thinking that perhaps Barron... Far, his biggest assignment in his life has been to train Bernard Hopkins. Or it is... In round 5, Orlando Salido threw 44 punches.
That Marquez is losing his initiative also.
Yeah, he's getting lulled into a fight. You try to take the championship from the champion. You don't try to win it. And
for a minute and a half from now, may well already have 6 rounds in the bank.
Landed just as much as he's taken.
Pacquiao, and having survived the experience.
Neither one of the guys have been able to sustain any kind of good attack to maybe 2 or 3 punches in a row. Continues is up. This could be a very interesting fight going down the stretch. Particularly, maybe he's gotten
later in the fight.
There's a good one. It's accurate, straight down the middle, and firing through Salido's guard. Lands an annual. You and I have been left alone by Larry Merchant. The Nevada State Athletic Commission is telling De La Hoya he can only have part of the hand wrapped.
Well, having his whole hand wrapped. I mean, you always have your entire hand. Saying right now doesn't make sense unless it's a case of having tape
not extend over the knuckle.
It does not extend. It's 1 inch.
Correctly, exactly what I was told about the disagreement. We'll hope that Larry.
The quality of a fighter that Marquez is. I think Salido's doing very.
Salido working much harder. A championship. Marco Antonio Barrera in San Antonio in 2003 and allowed Marquez to gather them, and that's why Marquez remains the official.
Up the pace and the intensity. The fight has been pretty much even. And the
corners have told him. CompuBox numbers in round 7. Marquez was 13.
Margins.
Experienced as any trainer in the sport, longtime trainer of Mexican legend Daniel Zarek. Never overexcited. A little nervous perhaps after the first round of the. Mark stepping up the tempo a little bit, seizing the initiative.
Marquez is much more accurate with his punches right now, and especially his counter.
Describe it.
Well, to my understanding, there was some swelling related to the injection that I performed.
Wrapped all the way around.
I don't know. I interpret it as being the other way. I thought he wanted.
Orlando Salido still occasionally looking for opportunities. Control of the tempo of the fight.
He's controlling the fight, and now that Salido.
And there's a headbutt.
And Marquez is beginning to lay back and take advantage of that.
That's right in the groove with what Juan Manuel Marquez likes to do. Salido.
Once again, you can see Salido's balance gets bad when he throws his right hand off.
Intent to work his way through a dull decision here if necessary. Carmen Basilio.
And that Oscar said that for this fight, his body fat was.
7 rounds to do. Juan Manuel Marquez.
Not that easy to hit. Good balance, punches good himself. And it seems to me.
The guy who fought Pacquiao, I would submit it's because he doesn't have to be. At least.
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with Salido more so than just the fact that Marquez.
Losses in his career. Salido has worked.
Yeah, Marquez landed a tremendous left uppercut and right hand on the chin of Salido.
Down the stretch now of round 10.
As you were saying, going into the late round.
You would think that Salido could see it coming and get a left hand up to block it, but no, and there's another hard.
Now, and Marquez is very comfortable in this style.
Still tired, they can still function.
It was so surprising. A lot of work on the ropes.
She's pregnant again.
But not that pregnant.
We've been taking care of other business between rounds, so we can't be sure whether Salido is determined that the next risk he takes will be the first risk he takes.
Allen, because he knows that early next year he's going to get a rematch. Before that, Kevin Kelly.
Combination up the middle. The guy who throws him straight.
He's became a little bit jealous of the publicity that's going with this boy with the two that really started getting him for a fighter for a while.
Manny, surely a grown man like Prince Nassim wouldn't. Salido had his best round of the fight, and now Marquez has. And Marquez seems willing to go to war a little bit if Salido wants to throw.
For the 15-round fight.
The phrase comes to my mind.
Let's see. I think he's a better fighter than we're all giving him.
And it doesn't look as though he's going to come away with a win in this fight. Over and over again in the sport is the importance of a real amateur career.
Team. So they really may lose early fights. It's really their amateur experience.
Marquez countering himself. They trade punches in the way he's fought the 11th and 12th. We'd have had some.
Better late than never.
Here at the MGM Grand, Dwayne Ford has it 118 to 110. Juan Manuel Marquez.
With Salido, who might have been a threatening opponent had he put more energy into it.